Mario Party Superstars has finally been released. The game has had a lot of pressure on its back to deliver, so did it live up to its expectations? Well, I'll certainly be answering that question over the course of this video, but as a quick summary, I would argue that it does. If you happen to live under a rock and are wondering about what Mario Party is, its core aspects, or the previous games in the franchise, or you just want a trip down nostalgia road, I highly recommend you check out my previous Mario Party retrospective video, which covers all the games up to press, as I won't be elaborating on them too much in this video other than a quick summary when needs be. Unlike in my retrospective video where I had to keep my assessments for each game in the franchise relatively short for the sake of time, I intend to break down every part of this game I possibly can. That means I'm going to be covering all the boards, all the side modes, all the extra cool features that are in the game, and more. So, strap yourselves in for the penultimate review in the Mario Party Retrospective Saga. Mario Party Superstars is kind of different from previous entries into this franchise. That is to say, it's not entirely new, but it's not a remaster either. I think the best way to describe Superstars would be a reimagining of sorts. Superstars is kind of a throwback to the N64 era and the boards that were on that version, but taken in a new light, taking the concepts and main gameplay mechanics associated with the N64 era games and translating them for a new modern audience, cherry-picking the best boards from the collection of the free games. Even elements such as the title screen really capture the original feel of Mario Party. For those that aren't aware, the whole menu with this game is a complete recreation of Mario Party 1's option menu, and the inclusion of this in full HD is a really neat feature, and it genuinely caught me a little off guard when I first loaded up the game. You may also have noticed that before you play a particular board, each of the characters are falling through this seemingly never-ending pipe. This sequence, once again, is directly taken from the original Mario Party, and I genuinely cannot stop expressing how cool that is for me to see. Both of the above features also come complete with a remastered mix of their original soundtracks. You can believe me on this one because all of the filming for the Mario Party 1 section really burned this music into my mind. The roster for Mario Party is relatively smaller compared to previous games in the franchise, boasting only 10 characters to choose from. These are Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Wario, Waluigi, Yoshi, Rosalina, Donkey Kong, and Birdo. I don't quite understand why they removed so many characters from the roster. I would argue that it's to capture the feel of the original games with the original characters that appeared in it, but then the inclusion of Birdo and Rosalina seems to contradict this. It's not really a bad thing per se, it's more so an observation. It's completely possible more characters could be added in the future as well, so keep that in mind. The art style for this game feels a whole lot different to previous entries, especially compared to how it looked on the original N64 versions of the games. The graphics in general for this game almost look ceramic in a sense. It feels like what RTX Mario Party would look like. That's not to say it's bad, because I really like the art style of all the boards and characters that come with this style. It's similar to Super Mario Party and Mario Party 9 and 10, but it has a slightly more polished feel to it. Stars are back to their original pricing of 20 coins. Woo! I think this is good, because I honestly thought that 10 coins in Super Mario Party was far too cheap, but 20 coins is reasonable, so I do welcome this change with open arms. Before I talk about specific boards, I want to lay out some general features present in each board. Items and item spaces make a return even in the Mario Party 1 boards that didn't traditionally have a conventional item setup that every other Mario Party afterwards would go on to use. Item spaces aren't exactly a new concept, in fact they're quite an old one, originating in Mario Party 2 and being removed after Mario Party 3. In Superstars, they don't work too differently. If you land on an item space, you'll have a chance to win an item in one of a handful of item minigames. Each of these, much like the boards, are handpicked from the first 3 Mario Parties. While we're on the subject of items, Mario Party Superstars has 15 different items, displayed here, taken from a plethora of games. You should recognise newer items such as the Golden Pipe from Super Mario Party and the Warp Block, which has long been a staple item of the series, but particularly old items such as the Chomp Coal or Item Bag might be a sight for sore eyes. And of course, let's not forget our old friend Lewis's favourite item, the Skeleton Key. I was somewhat surprised to see Mario Party 1 boards using items, but I do think it's interesting and certainly adds something that the original experience lacked in Mario Party 1. Chance Time returns, keeping much of the same features from its original counterparts. I've explained Chance Time before, but here's the quick version. Player lands on the Chance Time spot, activating Chance Time. They'll be presented with 3 spinning blocks. The blocks on the right and left indicate the players affected, and the block in the middle indicates the event taking place. This is usually in the form of coin swaps and star swaps. Once again, Chance Time can definitely change the course of a game, and some people would argue that it's overpowered or unfair because of this. However, keep in mind, it's pretty infrequent to land on that space in the first place, and that the consequences don't always benefit the person who's landed on it, so I'd say it's actually very fair. But you want to know what is a space that you'll be frequently landing on? The Lucky Space. Normally, the Lucky Space in a Mario Party game is sort of true to its name. You'd be lucky to land on it, and consequently, the rewards you get from landing on this space usually live up to the expectation that comes with it. But this isn't really the case in Mario Party Superstars, as it is stupidly common to land on this space. In Superstars, the Lucky Space doesn't really give you anything amazingly unique, but it does allow you a chance to win either an item like a cursed dice, triple dice, or custom dice, or some coins, generally around 7 to 20 coins on average. So in reality, I wouldn't really call it the Lucky Space, more like the slightly better than average space. Another returning space is the Battle Space, first introduced in Mario Party 3 under the new name the Versus Space. This space, if landed on, will siphon a select amount of coins from each player and make them compete in a battle minigame, the winner of which will get the good majority of the coins, with second place earning a reasonable amount themselves. The Koopa Bank is back. Think of this like a spot on the board that each player has to contribute 3 coins towards every time you pass it. These coins are then added to a grand bank total. If a player manages to actually land on the space that contains the Koopa Bank, they will be granted all of the coins in the bank. In the final 5 rounds of the board, this price is increased to 5 coins, meaning that the Koopa Bank can start to fill up real fast near the end of the game. Finally, hidden blocks are back, to the joy of absolutely everyone. With 2 being on the board at any given time, you have the opportunity to find some coins, or more rarely a star, from these boxes. You'll love them if you're the one landing on them, and you'll despise them if you aren't. Without further ado, I think it's time we talk about all 5 of the boards that appear in Mario Party Superstars. The first board I'm going to talk about is Yoshi's Tropical Island. Yoshi's Tropical Island is a really fun board originating from the original Mario Party with an interesting gimmick to boot. You see, on this board there are only 2 possible places the star can spawn, on either side of Yoshi's Island, with Bowser greeting any player who treads onto his side of the island for a nasty surprise. Okay, so just make sure you travel towards Toad and not Bowser. That's easily enough done, right?
You poor misguided fool. Do you really think it will be that easy?
Well, no, not really. That's because the main mechanic of this board is that the position of the star and Bowser will swap every time a player lands on the event space, and this will happen an awful lot. Just a side tangent, but I really like how they kept Toad basically being devoured by a Porcupuffer and then being spat out at the other end. I thought it was a cool feature in Mario Party 1, and I still think it's pretty charming now. But yeah, back to the event spaces. These are scattered basically everywhere on the map, and they make the board a whole lot more interesting. Now, I've seen mixed opinions on this map due to it being almost too random in nature, but personally I really like this map and I like the randomness that comes with it. It's also really funny to see the dismay of someone when you swap the star and Bowser right before their turn.
Oh my god! Oh no!
Right, there is literally nothing stopping me from ruining this game for all of you by exiting.
On top of that, there are numerous other ways you can sabotage your friends, namely the womps that guard the bridges. To get to the other side, you're going to want to pay them. In the first instance, this can be as cheap or as expensive as you'd like, but one thing that might be good to keep in mind is that the next player has to pay the same amount that you paid at a minimum. Tactically, this is a pretty good way to drain coins from your opponents, if you can spare the cash yourself, of course. This board is also one of 4 that features the Boo. The Boo is a returning feature originating from Mario Party 1, removed after the N64 games. Basically, it's a spot on the board that allows you to pay Boo to steal either coins or a star from another player. Boo will always steal coins for free, but it will cost you 50 coins if you want Boo to steal you a star. Nonetheless, I would say that it's still almost worth it. Not only do you get a star yourself, but you also remove one from someone else, much to the frustration of the other player, might I add. And I can say, as someone who has been in the latter situation many times, it's really difficult to build your stars back up after having one stolen from you, or 10 stolen from you, or yeah, you get the picture. Basically, I think this map perfectly sums up that human nature to screw the other players on the board, perhaps better than many of the others. Every element of this board can be manipulated in a sense. The star can be swapped with Bowser, players can make it ludicrously expensive to cross to the opposite end of the board, and last but not least, players can steal each other's stars and coins. It's ruthless, but it's perhaps the best summary of the spirit of Mario Party I've seen in a long time. Spaceland is a board originating from Mario Party 2. It's one of the larger maps in the series, but it's still pretty fun to play. The star method in this case is pretty traditional, with there being a variety of spaces the star can move to after one has been purchased. The main gimmick of this map is the giant bridge in the middle. Basically, you can travel across the bridge to various areas of the map. Think of it as a shortcut of sorts that can come in real useful sometimes if you're looking to jump from star to star in the space of a turn. However, keep a close eye on the counter on the bridge, as each time you cross, it will decrease until it falls to 0. Let's hope you aren't in the general vicinity of the bridge when this happens, as what follows is the extremely powerful Bowser coin beam being activated and shooting straight through all players that are standing within its path, taking all of their coins in the process. Activating this Bowser beam can certainly be done tactically to screw another player over, because after crossing the bridge you can choose a direction that the Bowser beam does not travel to not only avoid the beam, but watch as it passes through your opposition. However, I do have to say that at least when I played, the Bowser beam was never all that too much of a threat. Players never really stood on the vulnerable spots when the beam was activated, apart from one instance where it was Leo. I personally wouldn't have minded to see the beam affect a much larger set of tiles to have much more of a drastic impact on the game. Other notable parts of this board include the Sniffets, which patrol space chasing down speeders. If you land on an event space, you can be sure to be chased back to the edge of the board by them, and if you or another paid them to be out on patrol, they'll push you even further back than that. Spaceland is also the first example of maps that make use of the skeleton key, a surprisingly useful, albeit fairly situational item. The skeleton key is exactly as its name sounds. It's a key that can unlock any of the doors on the map that are present, after which they will disappear. Often, events that are locked behind the skeleton keys can be incredibly useful to the player, allowing you to bypass whole areas of the map in the form of useful shortcuts, or they might contain special events. The most useful example of the skeleton key on this map is after unlocking one of the doors, you can find a Boo who is more than willing to steal your opponent's stars for you. Peach's Birthday Cake is another map taken from the original Mario Party. It works a little differently compared to the previous two, as the star will constantly remain in a static position. It will never move from where it's located at the top of the birthday cake. The map's main mechanic is the ability to plant strawberries, which are actually piranha plants in the event spaces. You can place a small or large plant for 5 and 30 coins respectively, so long as one hasn't already been planted there by another player. Small piranha plants will steal 10 coins from any other player that lands on the event space that contains it. After taking coins from the player, there is a chance that the piranha plant will stay on the event space as well, meaning over time you are guaranteed to make a pretty decent profit. But if you choose to plant a large piranha plant for 30 coins, if landed on by an opponent, it will steal a whole star from them. Think of this as similar to Boo, but cheaper and more risky. I haven't actually tested what happens whenever a player doesn't have a star and they land on this space, but I imagine the player that planted the piranha plant will not receive a star. If you do actually know what happens, I would be interested to know, so leave it in the comments if you do know. After you've received the star, you will continue to go back around to the start point. However, Goomba will stop you for a roulette. This roulette will have you pick a seed from a selection of seeds. Most of the seeds will contain a beautiful flower, and you'll be able to carry on across the normal route. However, one of them will contain a Bowser flower. If you get this flower, you'll enter the Bowser route. I would say that this route is unlucky to get, but not in all cases, as although Bowser almost always takes a good portion of your coins when you travel across this route, he does return you very close to the star. Furthermore, you're also going to be avoiding all the aforementioned piranha plants that are going to steal your coins and stars, so I really wouldn't argue that the Bowser route is all that terrible, to be honest. Other than that, I wouldn't say there's too much that's particularly special about Peach's Birthday Cake as a map, but it's still pretty fun. Woody Woods is the worst map in Mario Party Superstars. There, I said it. There are a couple reasons for this, but I would say that the main reason is that the board gimmick is much more frustrating than it is fun or interesting. Basically, lots of Monty moles control the direction of signs that dictate how you travel across the map. After each player has taken their turn, they will switch the directions. Secondly, the map is pretty big. This is not the greatest of combinations because often the star will spawn very far away from the players, and then because of the fact that the moles swap the direction constantly, it becomes increasingly more tricky and frustrating to get to literally anywhere you need to go. If people think Yoshi's Island is too random in nature, then I dread to think what they would think of this map, as it is the literal definition of dumb luck. As a result, a lot of the playthroughs on this map in particular I can see being played purely with the use of chomp calls, which move the star, and the use of golden pipes, which I personally think is a pretty cheap and wildly boring way to play the actual game. Is there anything I actually do like about this map though? I guess there are two things. Number one is the event space that allows you to get an extra dice roll or coins. There's also an evil version of this tree in the forest section of the map which will take away coins. The second thing that I think is kind of cool is that there's a modified version of the item shop where you can buy rarer items such as the plunder chest. But yeah, really, this is the worst map in the game for me. There really isn't too much good to say about it. Even the appearance of the map itself is rather bland compared to all the previous maps. Horrorland is the fifth and final map added to Mario Party Superstars, and I'm glad to say that it's a whole lot better than Woody Woods. Introduced back in Mario Party 2, this map first introduced a gimmick which would becomes central to Mario Party 6. This is of course the day and night mode. On this map, every 2 turns the map will change time of day. This will affect the various boos that are present on the map. Initially, I thought that this meant that boos will return only at night. However, this isn't strictly true, as it turns out there is exactly 1 boo only present in the day, with the rest being only present during the night. This would have been really useful to know before I spent my time and money on trying to pull off a really good play that could have been done exclusively during the day. As the name and aesthetic of this board suggests, there is a whole lot of boos on this map that each do different things, but perhaps the most unique of these is King Boo. King Boo is unique to every other boo, as unlike the normal boo, King Boo can steal coins and stars from every player rather than just one select player. The only drawback to this is King Boo is much more expensive, costing a whopping 150 coins to steal stars from other players. But you've got to think about it like this: not only are you getting free whole stars, but you are also systematically reducing the star totals of every other player. This gives you a huge advantage and can be an absolute game changer. Like in Yoshi's Island, womps are found on the map, blocking certain routes. However, they are only able to be moved during the day, where they become magically frozen during the night because magic, or something like that, right? There's also Mr. I's warp space. If you land on this space, Mr. I will give you the choice to warp to the other end of the map for 6 coins. A pretty fair deal in my eyes. I wouldn't exactly describe Mr. I's offer as a warp per se, more like a horrifying chase, but I really like how they kept the original concept of Mr. I then chasing the player to the spot they've chosen to travel to, as I think it adds a lot of charm to the game. Finally, there's also a ghost house on the far side of the map which allows the player to light a candle and cast a spell that will cause day to turn to night. So that's all 5 boards in Mario Party Superstars. Overall, pretty strong collection of boards, apart from Woody Woods. Another strong collection that Mario Party Superstars boasts is its minigames. There are a whole lot of good minigames in this game, taken from Mario Party 1 all the way to Mario Party 10. Some of my personal favourite minigames included my all-time favourite 2v2 minigame Dungeon Duos, as well as a bunch of 4-player minigames by the likes of the Final Countdown, the classic Bowser's Big Blast, Snowball Summit, Sneak and Snore, and Crazy Cutters.
Yo, Squid Game!
Let's go! Luigi survived Squid Game! 1v3s are mostly okay. There's definitely still some minigames that it is impossible for the player by themselves to win, such as Spotlight Swim. I don't think there is anybody who could possibly win that by themselves. But there's also a fair amount of pretty enjoyable 1v3s, such as Skewer Skiri, Tube It or Lose It, and Tackle Takedown, among others. Coin minigames? They're fine. They're not really anything to shout about, but they basically act as filler. They're not overly memorable, with the only one that really comes to mind being Money Belts, but they're also not terrible. What I haven't really seen anyone talking about is just how optimized these controls are. Like, none of these minigames feel bad or unusual to play with using the Joy-Cons, even despite having drastically different controls to the original hardware that the games were played on. Every minigame feels as though it perfectly fits for the setup of the Switch, and I honestly believe that is applaudable. However, there is no lying to me. You have to use your palm on this minigame, I swear to God. Similar to previous entries into the franchise, Superstars also has some extra modes on the side, so I think it's only appropriate that we talk about them. Survival mode is an extra mode that I was really quite excited to play because the concept of this mode seemed really unique. Basically, it's a single player online only challenge type mode, where you have to keep a streak of minigame wins for as long as possible. If you lose the minigame, then your score is reset to 0. Now, this is a brilliant concept. I think this could be really fun if you enjoy a hard challenging mode, but there's just one tiny issue. The lag is unbearable. Nintendo being Nintendo means that the online services for all of their games are peer-to-peer, meaning that you're heavily reliant on other players' internet connections. Here's another fun fact: nobody on this game seems to have a stable internet connection for more than a minute at a time. It's very hard to find enjoyment in the challenge of trying to maintain a streak when you have Cormac with a ping of 4000 playing with you, causing the game to run at an impressive frame rate of 5 frames per second. Oh my god, where am I going? When this game is working, it's pretty fun, but those moments are few and far between. It's hard to give this mode a glowing review at this stage. After an hour of laggy matches and losing my streak to frame spikes multiple times, the game actually told me there was nobody playing anymore, so I took that as the perfect opportunity to leave. Trio Challenge is probably my highlight of the extra modes. It's pretty simple in concept, but it's addictingly fun. You'll play the role of the trio team and have to beat a set of 5 trio minigames in a row without losing, otherwise you're going to be sent back to the start. This one is especially fun to play with 2 other friends, as miscommunication and plotting team tactics brings about a whole lot of laughs.
You hit it from the side, no!
Furthermore, each minigame has a rank based on how quickly you completed or how well you did in that minigame. After completing the first 5 minigames, you'll unlock another set of 5 different trio minigames, and then after completing this, you'll unlock the final 5 sets. This means you're getting 15 different minigames to practice with your chosen trio. Trust me when I say this, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this mode in particular. Some of these minigames are devilishly difficult. Daily Challenge is a pretty fun mode. It's basically a small set of minigames put together based on categories such as collectathons, beat 'em up style minigames and more. The rotation of minigame sets will change each day, so it's a good idea to come back each day and check what there is. It's also online only, so keep that in mind. Sports and puzzles is sort of always in Mario Party games, and the cool thing about this set of puzzles in particular is that there are puzzles and sports hailing from previous Mario Parties. Overall, there are 6 different types, 3 sports that you can play as well as 3 puzzles, and honestly, some of these are pretty fun. Shell soccer and volleyball were surprisingly addicting to play, and I have to say I was starting to get into the Mario equivalent of Tetris. Obviously, they're admittedly pretty simple, but they are good fun for the most part. Coin Battle is a free-for-all mode that pits players against each other to win coins in a number of minigame rounds. It's pretty simple, but it's also kind of fun, with coin multipliers, battle minigames and bonus rounds thrown into the mix, as well as the occasional 1v3. This mode is surprisingly fun. Initially, I thought based on the name it would just be a collection of coin minigames, but this isn't actually the case. Tag Match is a 2v2 mode that makes 2 teams face off to win 3 or 5 sets of stars by winning dual minigames. It's a pretty decent mode. My only real criticism is that because of the limited number of 2v2 minigames in the game as a whole, there isn't a whole lot of variety, and you'll most likely see the same 2v2 minigames after a couple playthroughs of this mode. With the extra modes out of the way, let's head back to the main game to finish this one off. There is a lot of extra stuff included in Mario Party Superstars, which I think really adds to the overall enjoyment of the game. Stickers is one of those. Stickers is a feature that is exclusive to Mario Party Superstars. ND Cube with an original idea? Colour me shocked. They're basically emails that show up on the screen in real time. Want to express your frustration at the fact that the game is obviously rigged against you? Don't worry, because you have the what sticker. Or perhaps you feel bad about stealing someone else's star? Well, don't worry, I'm sure that everything will be okay as long as you spam the sorry sticker as many times as humanly possible. Or maybe you just want to remind your good friend Lewis how much he really loves skeleton keys. Overall, stickers are a very good feature, and it adds a little bit of comedy to the game, especially with the introduction of being able to play online with not just your friends, but also random strangers. You can really get a feel for their personality through their use of stickers. The only thing I will say that is not great about them is that they can be spammed pretty heavily. However, it is always possible to turn them off in the settings if needs be. Small side tangent here, but I really like how when looking at the map on this game, characters pull out a physical mini-map. It's a nice attention to detail which is very much appreciated. Not only this, but you can also change from the modern remixes of the music that plays on each board to the original classic tracks from the original games. This is a really nice touch, especially for those that grew up in this era of gaming. Furthermore, a huge quality of life feature that ND Cube added to Superstars is the ability to add more turns to a game, and this honestly is such a brilliant feature I didn't know we needed. It is limited to only being able to add more turns once, but nonetheless this is a really good feature, as I'm sure we've all had games where we wanted to have them carry on for that bit longer, and finally Mario Party Superstars allows us to do this. The inclusion of the Mario Party cards breathes an awful lot of personality into the game, as you can display what your favourite Mario Party is, your favourite board in the collection, and your favourite minigames as well. Plus, each card comes with a title that can be unlocked by completing achievements within the game itself. It's small stuff like this that really boosts the overall experience for me. I also think it's pretty neat how Mario Party Superstars will have different title screens based on what map you played most recently, and will have dedicated end-of-board screens for each of the characters based on their position in the game overall. It's a really nice throwback to Mario Party 1. I've praised Mario Party Superstars an awful lot, and that's because it truly is the best game in a very long time for the franchise, but there's still some nitpicks that I have with the game as a whole. My first nitpick would be the fact that there is no secret board in Superstars. Almost every Mario Party preceding it has had a secret board that is unlocked through either completing every single board in the game, or some other challenge-based accomplishment, but Mario Party Superstars has none of these. Now, of course, it's possible new boards could be added during the course of the game's life, but as it stands right now, there's no secret board. This sort of leads into my next nitpick, which is the lack of boards. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's better than Super Mario Party only having 4 boards, but most Mario Parties typically have 6 boards minimum, and if you want to get really critical, the original Mario Party had a whopping 8. This brings me into my next point, which is DLC. Now, I don't know if this will happen. I could see it going either way, but I would like to see DLC for Mario Party Superstars, either adding additional characters to the roster or new boards from perhaps different hardware generations. I would love to be able to play a remastered Koopa's Tycoon Town from Mario Party 8, or maybe Fair Square from Mario Party 6. Again, this is wishful thinking, but I wouldn't say it's impossible with other Nintendo spin-offs such as Mario Golf getting additional maps after release. Another nitpick I have to talk about is they removed costumes. For those that don't know, Mario Party 2 had a pretty unique little gimmick which I really liked, and this was that each board had costumes for each of the characters. This was exclusive to Mario Party 2 and it really made it stand out even looking back at it now. Yet, the boards from Mario Party 2, Spaceland and Horrorland feature no instance of these outfits, and I know, this is probably because it would have took a lot of time to design the outfits and to animate them, but it still feels like a missed opportunity to show why Mario Party 2 was so unique, and I'm really sad they're not back. Who knows? It is possible that they get added in a future update. That'd be a cool feature to see. Do I think it'll happen? Maybe, maybe not. But at the moment, it isn't here, so I'm quite sad about that. To finish this one off, I'm sure you're all wondering what my favourite boards were and how I'd rank the game in comparison to the previous titles. Well, my favourite board in this collection is Yoshi's Island. Everything about this map is really fun and I really like the gimmick. It's closely followed by Horrorland, which is actually my favourite board in Mario Party 2 full stop. The day and night mode is very cool. I'd then probably place Peach's Birthday Cake and Spaceland in joint third. There's not really too much separating them in my eyes, they're still very good in their own rights. And then we just have Woody Woods. Yeah, I think I've made my opinion on this map very clear already. But how would I rank the game? Well, it still doesn't beat my all-time favourite of Mario Party 6, and in my opinion it isn't quite as enjoyable as Mario Party 2. So, I would probably rank it as third, with Mario Party 4 just behind it. It's really hard to separate these two, as I do think they are both very good, but Mario Party Superstars, I think, does just clutch the top 3 spot. I can easily see myself playing this for hours on end, and it really is a good time. So, overall, that is Mario Party Superstars, and with that, we finally conclude the Mario Party Retrospective Saga. I really hope you've enjoyed this series as much as I've enjoyed making it. At the time of writing, the video is at 2.6k views, which is absolutely crazy to me, and I cannot thank you all enough. I'd also like to give a special thanks to Ben, who supplied me with a good chunk of footage from our games when my own corrupted. He truly has been a lifesaver, as well as Leo, Lewis, and my flatmate Luke, who've all been involved with playing the boards with me for this video. Their links will be down in the description below. I think it's finally time that I close the book on the Mario Party franchise. It's been quite a memorable ride, and I truly have enjoyed being able to play other games in the series. Yes, even the bad ones. I want to thank you for watching the video from the bottom of my heart. It truly does mean a lot to me. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, or sharing it with your friends. With your support, I can start to grow out the channel more and work on more ambitious videos. Once again, thank you, and I hope to see you in another video.